Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to crack open a secret to financial freedom. And you know what? It's probably way simpler than you're imagining.
Just look at that number. Over $500,000. I mean, that's a life-changing amount of money, right? But what if I told you the story behind it?
Now, this didn't come from some lucky lottery ticket, okay? Or a huge CEO bonus. Nope. This was built by a regular person, someone with a regular job, just like most of us. So the real question is, how on earth did they do it?
All right, Section 1, a $500,000 secret. The answer, it turns out, is hiding inside one person's story.
So, let's meet Sarah. We're calling her Sarah for this explainer. Her journey just lays this whole thing out so perfectly. And the very first big clue to how she pulled this off? It's right there. She started at age 22.
Okay, moving on to Section 2. Sarah's simple plan. So, what was her grand strategy? I'll tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't magic. It was a method.
So check out this timeline. From age 22 all the way to 45. That's a 23-year journey. And this is the absolute key. She gave her money the one thing it needed more than anything else, a long runway to just grow.
Her whole strategy really boils down to just 3 incredibly simple steps. First, she started early. Obvious, right? But crucial. Second, she stayed consistent. She just socked away 20% of her income month after month. And third, she invested simply. No crazy stock picking, just used basic tools like low-cost index funds, to own a tiny piece of the whole market. And she took advantage of her retirement accounts.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it. Compound interest rewards consistency. That's not just a nice little saying, It's the literal engine of her entire strategy. Think about it. Her consistency was the fuel she kept pouring in, and compound interest was the high-performance engine that took that fuel and went to town with it.
So that brings us to Section 3, the compounding engine. Let's really dig into this secret ingredient that was powering all that growth. How did this engine actually turn a regular savings into such a massive pile of cash?
Compound interest. Yeah, you've probably heard the term thrown around, but let's really get what it means. It's the process where the earnings from your investments start generating their own earnings. The classic analogy is a snowball rolling down a hill, and it's perfect. It starts off small, right? But as it rolls, it picks up more snow, getting bigger and bigger, and it starts moving faster and faster. Your money can do the exact same thing. This chart really shows you where the money comes from. That first bar, that's your contributions. That's the cash you put in yourself. The second bar, that's your earnings, the interest you make. But look at that third bar. That is where the real magic happens. That's the earnings on your earnings. And over time, that bar just explodes. It accelerates and can end up being the biggest chunk of your wealth by far. Okay, so understanding Sarah's story is great. But the real power here comes from figuring out how to apply it to your own life. Because, you see, the most valuable asset in this whole equation, it isn't money, it's time. And more specifically, it's your time.
So let's really hammer this point home. Let's look at the cost of waiting just 1 decade. Sarah starts at 22, right? With her steady, consistent investment. Now let's invent Alex. Alex is identical to Sarah in every way, except Alex waits until 32 to get started. Well, to hit that same $500,000 goal by the same age, Alex has to invest a much larger pile of cash every single month. And why? It's simple. Alex has 10 fewer years for that amazing compounding engine to do its thing.
And that right there brings us to the single most important point of this whole explainer. Building real wealth isn't really about having a massive paycheck. I mean, it helps, but the real key, the secret, is giving your money the longest possible runway to take off and fly.
Look, Sarah's story is just one example of this incredibly powerful principle at work. But her story, it's already been written. Yours, on the other hand, is a blank page. So the only question that really matters now is, what are you gonna write in your first chapter?